Chapter 214, Land of Hope. Choo-choo, a train whistle resounded in every corner of the station as a metal behemoth, in the form of a steam locomotive, came to a slow stop with more than 20 carriages in tow. Dressed in a tuxedo and half-top hat, Klein was carrying an exaggerated luggage bag that appeared incongruent with his figure. He took a firm step onto the ground of the Lone Kingdom's capital, Backland. This city was divided into two regions by the Tussock River, which flowed to the southeast. The two lands were connected by the Backland Bridge and ferries, with a population exceeding 5 million people. It was the most prosperous capital in the southern and northern continents. Klein looked far into the distance and saw faint yellow hazes everywhere. Visibility was terrible, and the gas lamps hanging above the train platform were already lit to dispel the gloominess and darkness. It's only 6:30. It looks like it's 9 or 10. Klein shook his head indiscernibly. Suddenly, he recalled a joke he read on the Tussock Times. A gentleman who just arrived in Backland finds himself lost in the thick haze. Helpless, he asks a drenched gentleman passing him by, "How do you get to the Tussock River?" The gentleman answers him in a friendly manner, "Walk straight without stopping. I just swam from there one." Every time I read Backland newspapers or magazines, the reporters and editors will make a mockery of the polluted air, or the increasing number of foggy days in every conceivable way possible. Previously, the Backland Daily Tribune even did the statistics, and it was found that it has gone from about 60 days a year from 30 years ago to the present 75 days a year for this. Many far-sighted people established organizations like the Soot Reduction Association, Smoke Reduction Association. Apparently, there was a bill in September that motioned the need to establish the National Atmospheric Pollution Council. Klein lowered his huge luggage bag and pinched his nose to gain respite from the sudden discomfort. Then, tracing his golden chain, he fished out a golden pocket watch from his vest pocket. He popped it open and looked at the time. When he truly bade farewell to his siblings, he had especially visited a department store and spent £10 solely to buy a golden pocket watch and matched it with a golden chain worth £1.5 solely. To not constantly be aware of the exact time made him feel a sense of horror. Klein had planned on buying a silver pocket watch as he felt it matched his temperament. But after considering the true essence of a clown, he finally chose a more showy and exaggerated golden watch. 6:39, it's not that much later, Klein put away his pocket watch and held his cane and luggage bag as he slowly walked out the steam locomotive station with the crowd. Suddenly, he made a sudden turn, causing a person who was secretly tailing him to have his hand fall empty when reaching for his pocket. Klein was unfazed by this episode as he followed the cement-paved road and mixed into the crowd, arriving at an intersection in front of him. There was a lawn and garden that circled around a column that resembled a chimney. No, it's very likely a chimney. Klein saw the column spewing thick smoke from its top end. A portion of the smoke floated high into the sky as a portion condensed into tiny liquid droplets that scattered everywhere. Klein paused once again and placed his luggage down. He spread open the newspaper and map that he had held onto using his other hand. While on the steam locomotive, he had already planned where he was going to go or what to do next. The experiences that he had undergone and the mental experience that he had when disguised as a clown in the morning made Klein finally understand the true essence of a clown. Without being capable of knowing a little about fate, one remains helpless towards fate. Therefore, one might as well use a smiling face to hide all the pain, sorrow, confusion, and depression. At that moment, he clearly felt the clown potion digest and believed that if he continued acting this way, it wouldn't take long for him to make another attempt at advancing. But herein lay the problem: didn't know the corresponding name of the Sequence 7 potion, much less know its exact formula. How should I obtain the formula? The secret order seldom appears. They only seem to be interested in the Antigonus family's items. This is also why others have little understanding of them. Yes, I should consider two aspects. 1. I need to come into contact with the local Beyonder circles and see if I can find clues. 2. I should set a trap and use the Antigonus family's treasure as bait to lure the secret order out. After all, I do possess knowledge of the strange vertical pupil formed from the numerous mysterious symbols. But that's too risky. I need to be careful, since the bait cannot be too good or too bad. It won't garner their interest if it's too bad. And if it's too good, I might end up attracting a shark. A shark that can swallow me whole. The secret order's leader, Zeridal, is a figure who guided Emperor Roselle. Maybe he had obtained the biggest slice of the pie during that revolutionary feast, of course. He might not still be alive, as that was something from 200 years ago. Amidst his thoughts, Klein felt the coldness of Backlund and couldn't help but shiver. He decided to find a residence as soon as possible. He flipped through the papers and, once again, browsed through the rental section and saw a circled advertisement. 15 Mince Street, Sherwood Borough Terrace House, weekly rent of 18 solely. Klein had thought this through very carefully about the area in which he was to stay in. Although Backlund had a population exceeding 5 million people, he still needed to be wary about meeting the local night hawks. Be it the newly transferred Daly or Lorona, Iyer Harson, and Borgia that he previously met, they would definitely be able to recognize him. Therefore, Klein eliminated the North Borough, where the church of the Evernight Goddess Backlund Diocese headquarters and St. Samuel Cathedral was. He also eliminated areas with the best security and the extremely strictly monitored Empress Borough and Western Borough. These two boroughs belonged to the nobles and the richest magnates, with more of the nobles living closer to Empress Borough. After eliminating the worker areas, the harbor, and the East Borough and Backlund Bridge region, where the poor gathered, Klein had few choices left. The first choice was Hillston Backlund, where the Backlund Stock Exchange, Clearinghouse, Futures Center, the 7 major banks' headquarters, various trust funds, rail companies, and bulk cargo commerce companies were. It was known as the financial, business, and economic center of the Lone Kingdom. The second choice was Sherwood Borough, where there were many small companies and residential buildings. The two boroughs had a lot of people in them, and the security was relatively good. It was good for hiding in. After serious consideration, Klein chose the cheaper Sherwood Borough. The reason why he didn't seek out organizations like the Capital Housing Improvement Company or Capital Housing Improvement Association was due to the fact that they needed identification, which he couldn't produce at the moment. If I can't find a place to rent today, you'll find a motel that doesn't need any identification. To stay for the night, Klein gathered the things in his hand and carried his luggage. According to the map, he walked towards what seemed like a department store's entrance. That was the Backlund Metro's entrance. Yes, a metro? That first time, Klein saw the word metro on the newspapers and magazines. He nearly jumped in fright. He never expected that such a transportation vehicle had become a reality in this era, which hadn't entered the age of electricity. It was born 25 years ago. It first connected both banks of the Tussock River and had now expanded to the key city boroughs. Of course, there weren't many stations. Through the main door, Klein followed the people ahead of him as he walked to the ticketing booth. After being in line for a few minutes, he finally saw a cashier with a head with beautiful golden hair. The lady didn't raise her head. All she did was point at the wooden board by the side of the window with the prices. Peak period 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., 10-minute headway, 15-minute headway for all other times. First class seat, 6 pence. Second class seat, for pence. Third class seat, 3 pence. Return trips are respectively 9, 6, 5 pence. Annual pass first class, 8 pounds. Second class, 5 pounds 10 solely. Third class, no annual pass. It's cheaper than I imagined. There's actually no distance restriction. Melissa would definitely love this more than a horse carriage. This is the culmination of machinery, Klein thought as he suddenly felt upset. He revealed a brilliant smile and fished out for pence and handed it to the cashier. Second class seat. Smack! The cashier tore a ticket and stamped it before handing it to Klein. After finding the line that led to Sherwood Borough and passing through the not very strict security checks, Klein went down the flight of stairs and quickly came to the platform. He followed the labels on the ground and found the corresponding location for second-class seats. Choo-choo had to wait long before he heard the chugging sound of the train and the thunderous steam whistle. He saw a huge steam locomotive. Its large and meandering body, together with its black metallic luster and complex machinery, mixed together to form a unique beauty. Backland's metro still used steam locomotives. The smoke that they spewed was specially designed to enter a pipe above and travel through a chimney out into the world. This was also the true usage for the lawn and garden out on the streets. Amidst the screeching sound of metal, Klein first waited for the passengers to alight before carrying his cane and luggage over slowly. He then allowed the conductor to check his tickets. Unlike the third-class seats, the second-class seats were one person to a seat, so there were no concerns about having one seat snatched. Just as Klein sat down, stowed away his luggage, and leaned on his cane, he suddenly heard hurried footsteps. He subconsciously looked towards the door and saw a thin, adolescent boy rush into the carriage. The boy was wearing a coat that didn't suit his age. He wore a rounded top hat and carried a ragged haversack. He kept his head very low. "I'm sorry, I got on the wrong carriage." And from third class, he showed his ticket and apologized to the passengers before briskly walking towards the third-class carriage. Klein retracted his gaze and once again confirmed his destination as he waited for the doors to the carriage to close. At that moment, he heard chaotic and hurried footsteps. He then saw a few men dressed in black coats and half-top hats rush into the carriage. Are they chasing after that 15-year-old boy? Klein instinctively had such a thought. He shook his head gently and continued reading his newspapers and map, just like the other passengers on board the carriage.